Hit the county? What do you mean by that?
I'm finna lie. Just blacked out on my mom. I just blacked out on my mom.
What happened?
Nigga, I had popped the perk.
Alright, stop.
What happened, man?
He started hitting me really hard and choking me.
No, what happened?
Because that's the actual truth. That's the actual truth. I never laid a hand on that woman.
It was a typical Sunday night, the kind where nothing happens and everything feels like it's just waiting to explode. I wasn't looking for trouble, but trouble found me anyway. It wasn't the kind of night where you think, this is going to change everything. But I should have known better. Life doesn't give you a warning before it shatters. I was just 18. My name's Derek Mitchell, and that night, I became someone I didn't even recognize. Not to my family, not to my neighbors, and definitely not to the police. It started like any other, but everything shifted when I took a pill. It was supposed to be something simple, something harmless, just a little painkiller. My sister told me, "It'll knock you out, Derek." I had a headache, wasn't thinking straight, and it seemed like an easy fix. I asked what it was, and she said, "It's a perk." I didn't even think twice. I popped the pill, walked back to my room, and that was the last thing I remember clearly. What came next, though, it still haunts me. I blacked out, and when I came to, the house was a mess. Broken windows, shattered furniture, my mom bleeding on the floor, my sisters crying in the corner, and I didn't even know what happened. I just stood there, confused, and the police were already at the door, ready to make their call. They didn't ask what happened. They didn't ask if I was okay. They just saw a big black kid in a panic, and that's all they needed. When the cops showed up, I could feel their eyes on me before they even got out of the car. It wasn't about me. It wasn't about what had actually happened. It was about what they thought I might do. I've been through enough in my life to know that once you're labeled, your story doesn't matter anymore. And from the moment the police saw me, they didn't see a kid in distress. They saw a threat. "Sit down. Hands where we can see them. Don't move." All the words, all the commands, they were like a tidal wave of force. I tried to explain. I tried to tell them I wasn't dangerous, that something was wrong with me. But every word that came out of my mouth felt like it was sinking deeper into the ground. One officer yanked my arm hard. Another grabbed my wrist and twisted it. They didn't give me room to explain. And I could see it in their eyes. The fear, the assumption, the belief that because of how I looked, I was guilty before I ever said a word. They never asked me if I needed medical attention. They never wondered if I'd had a bad reaction to a drug. They didn't care about the family I'd just hurt. They only cared about keeping control. And that's where racial bias sneaks in, unseen but felt by everyone involved. It wasn't just the color of my skin. It wasn't even the size of my body. It was what they believed about me. They saw a black man and assumed violence. In the chaos of that night, I didn't have a chance. The cops had a protocol, sure, but those trainings are flawed. Because the moment they heard about a big black man out of control, they defaulted to what they thought they knew, what they'd seen in the news, what they'd been taught in the academy. The problem is, those trainings don't teach them to see people. They teach them to see threats. What does that mean for a kid like me? It means I'm already guilty before I ever get a chance to speak. The officers saw me not as a scared 18-year-old who didn't know what was happening to his own body, but as someone whose only value was the potential danger I might pose. But let's be real. I wasn't a danger. I was a kid who made a dumb choice, took a pill that messed me up and lost control. But no one took the time to listen to that part of my story. They saw my skin, not my soul. The officers weren't wrong to act quickly. There was a real threat of violence in that house. But the bias was there from the very first moment they saw me. And that's what leads to tragedy, when assumptions outweigh facts, when the law stops being about protection and starts being about control. But here's the real question. What are we going to do about it? When we look at situations like this, it's easy to point fingers. But the truth is, bias, racial bias, is a system. It's built into how we train police officers, how we watch the news, how we treat each other. It doesn't go away with one arrest. It doesn't go away with one conversation. If you're honest with yourself, you know that sometimes the system doesn't see people as people, it sees them as threats. That night, I became a statistic, a part of the narrative that says he's dangerous because he's black. But we have the power to change that. We can push for better training, better understanding, and better interactions between the police and the communities they serve. It's not just about laws, it's about how we see each other. So here's the challenge for you. Do you think the police acted out of fear or ignorance? Is racial bias something we can fix, or is it something we've all just accepted? And what role do you play in making the system better for everyone? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm ready to hear them, because this is a conversation we all need to have. We all need to listen. We all need to do better. Remember, the law is meant to protect us all, but that can only happen when we start seeing people for who they are, not for who we think they might be. If you've learned something today, share this video, start the conversation, and let's work towards a world where we all stand together for justice. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment below. Let's change this narrative together.